Hello everybody, my name is Gadiki2122 and welcome back to Pokemon Fire Red. Last time we arrived here at 4 Island and explored everything that there was to do here. We caught several new Pokemon, we encountered Lorelei once again in confronting Team Rocket, and we were introduced to the concept of Pokemon breeding and fully explored that avenue. This time, we are going to be moving on to another island. Now, you might think that we need to go to 5 Island because that's where the Rocket Warehouse is, but that is actually not what we are going to be doing today. Because if you recall, they alluded to the fact that the Rocket Warehouse requires 2 passwords in order to get into, and we only have 1 at the moment. So instead, we're going to be going to a different island in an attempt to get the 2nd password. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to go to 6 Island. And welcome to another new island, and I was corrected between episodes. This is the music for Violet City. Pretty nice music. Again, in a different key, but still very reminiscent of the original Gold and Silver. 6 Island, Fortune Island of Age Wisdom. Very interesting. When you're this far away from the city, the sky at night is fantastic. That's a very true notion, sir. What do you have to say? Keep going this way and you'll get to the water path. Stay on that and you'll get to the Ruined Valley. Yes, we have a lot that we can do here at 6 Island. It doesn't seem like there's much in the actual town area because it is very simplistic, but trust me, we're gonna be here for a while. There's nothing that young people find exciting here on this island, but this is a good place in terms of nature and history. Relax and enjoy your stay. We will, because like I said, we're gonna be here. This is not one of those islands where I can reasonably get done in 1 episode. We are gonna have to take multiple episodes to get through everything that needs to get done at 6 Island, but trust me, it is all totally worth it. So like I said, there's not much to do in town, so we're gonna head straight down to the water path, and we already have some new music to listen to, and it's really nice stuff. There are some trainers to fight down the water path, and there are a couple of new Pokemon that we can catch here, and I would like to address those before we actually tackle our experience in the water path. First Pokemon that you can get simply by walking through tall grass is Sentret. Sentret is a normal Pokemon that is well known to veterans of the Gold and Silver days, or those of you who played Heart Gold and Soul Silver. You are probably also familiar with Sentret. And you will remember Sentret because it was probably one of the first new Pokemon back then that you captured. Sentret is essentially the Rattata of the Johto region, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It does learn some pretty good normal moves leveling up, including Scratch, Quick Attack, Furious Swipe, Slam, and the ever-powerful and helpful Helping Hand in double battles. And once it evolves into Furret, it actually gets some pretty well-balanced stats. It's nothing spectacular, of course, but for an early game Pokemon, this is pretty good. That said, despite how good it can be, Furret is relatively basic, and there are better normal types out there. Again, if we had been able to get this Pokemon early on in the game, this actually would have been a pretty decent normal type to start off with. But at this point, it is relatively outclassed by better normal types such as Snorlax, but that doesn't mean it is useless. After all, Furret did provide us this. Yeah, we got that going for it. But that is not the only Pokemon that we can find here. There are 2 Pokemon that we can find here, or rather, as I've stated many times before, there's 1 of 2 new Pokemon that we can obtain here via the Super Rod, depending on what specific version we are playing. And in previous instances, I had talked about the Pokemon that we can't get first, but in this case, I'd rather talk about the Pokemon that we are able to obtain, because I'd rather keep things positive, and to be frank, Quillfish, comparatively, is kind of on the short end of the stick, but that doesn't mean that Quillfish is necessarily bad. It does have quite a few things going for it. First of all, it is a relatively unique type in the form of Water Poison. The only other Water Poison types available to us at this point are Tentacool and Tentacruel. And even though I do think that Tentacool and Tentacruel do outclass Quillfish, that doesn't mean Quillfish is bad. It does have decent physical attack, which means that as a poison type, it is able to do relatively well. And it also has some pretty decent speed stats for what it is. Its moveset is also pretty interesting. It gets really powerful moves in the later points of its development, such as Takedown and Hydro Pump, and even Destiny Bond of all things. But it also gets some more unique moves that kind of make it similar to Coughing in many ways. It gets Harden and Minimize at level 9, Pin Missile at level 21, and Revenge, which is a fighting type move, at level 25. So, even though Quillfish isn't the best thing in the world, actually is pretty unique in terms of what it is capable of doing. This is definitely not a Pokemon that you want to sleep on. Just understand that it does get outclassed by other water types, but a lot of water types outclass each other, so it's totally fine. That said, however, in Leaf Green, I will admit that they got the better end of the deal here, because in Leaf Green, they get Remoraid. And may I just say, this is a water Pokemon that you may want to actually consider adding to your team, because this thing is really good and has a ton of potential offensively. The biggest draw of Remoraid is that it has the ability to learn just about any beam move that you can think of. Anything that ends with the word beam in it, Remoraid can probably use. And in fact, most of the moves in its level up moveset are focused around beams. Leveling up, it learns Psybeam, Bubble Beam, and Aurora Beam at level 22, Ice Beam at level 44, and Hyper Beam at level 55, making it fitting of a Pokemon that is more or less meant to resemble a gun. But the craziest thing is that at level 25, Remoraid evolves, going from a gun to an octopus tank in the form of Octillery. And Octillery is even better, because the great thing about Octillery in this game is that it's a pure mixed attacker, meaning that no matter what kind of move you teach it, it will be able to do really well. And base 105 attack and special attack, that's nothing to sneeze at. That is actually pretty good. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but who cares when it's going to be hitting everything like a tank. The other nice thing about Octillery is that it learns a relatively unique move called Octazooka. I believe in this generation it's the only Pokemon that can learn it. And it's basically Bubble Beam, except that instead of having the chance of lowering the opponent's speed, you have a 50% chance of lowering the opponent's accuracy, which can generally be more beneficial, depending on how you want to play things. Regardless of whether or not you want to use this, I would definitely recommend catching this Pokemon because it is just an absolute powerhouse for you to at least consider. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, we have the ability to capture 2 of the Pokemon that I just talked about, and we also have a handful of trainers that we need to fight as well. So, time to get to work. I'm practicing in secret so no one can see me. Nobody saw me losing, right? Aside from all my subscribers, no. This guy didn't have a particularly interesting team, mostly just Voltorbs and a Mr. Mime, but, you know, it is what it is. Now, like I said, we do need to use the Super Rod in order to get our Quillfish, so I'm going to take a minute and focus on that, and I will see you guys in just a second. There we go. There's our boy Quillfish. There we go. Took a little longer than I wanted to, but eventually we got Quillfish. Quillfish, the balloon Pokemon. The small spikes covering its body develop from scales. They inject a toxin that causes fainting. As always, if you would like to provide a nickname to the Pokemon, you are free to do so in the comments below. Now that we've gotten that little dude taken care of, now we have to find ourselves a Sentret. Why is it that every other time I try to find a Pokemon, it's always Spearow that I find first? Why is it always you? Oh my god, finally I found a Sentret. 30% my Arceus. There is no way that is 30%. Took me way too long to find this thing. Okay, Sentret, the scout Pokemon. It stands on its tail so it can see a long way. If it spots an enemy, it cries loudly to warn its kind. That's how very considerate of it. As always, if you would like to give Sentret a nickname, feel free to let me know in the comments. Okay, so now that we've taken care of those little items of business, we can finally continue on. Looks like there's another hidden item here. Found an Asper Berry. Very nice. God! Oh. Tell me, where are the mountains around these parts? Are you serious? They're right in front of you. Like, do those not count as mountains? I lost my way while I was busy battling. Dude, the mountains are right there in front of you, my guy. Just look. Anyway, we're gonna press on from here. And head down this way, and we're going to head into Ruin Valley. This is a new area. Once again, all of this should go without saying, but all of this is available only in Fire Red and Leaf Green. And the really cool thing about this particular area is that now that we have arrived here, there are 3 more new Pokemon that we can find. And the really nice thing about these 3 is that none of them are version exclusive. They are all available in this game. So, before we continue on with Ruin Valley, I gotta take a minute to talk about these 3, because they're all pretty interesting. First of all, we have Natu. Now, this particular Pokemon brings a strange new type combination to the fray. It's a Psychic and Flying type. The only other Pokemon available that has this particular type is a legendary Pokemon that we'll talk about later. But for now, this is the only one that's reasonably available to us. As a Psychic Flying type, it has a lot of potential, both offensively and defensively, and because of that potential, it could bring a lot to your team. And while its stats are pretty okay when it's a Natu, when it evolves into Xatu at level 25, its stats go from pretty good to even better, with pretty good special attack and speed, making it a pretty nice Pokemon to add to the group. Now, the biggest problem with Xatu is that even though it does have decent stats and its type is really good, it doesn't have much in terms of its moves. It starts off with Peck straight away, regardless. It'll learn Nightshade at level 10, Teleport at level 20, Future Sight at level 35, which is fine, though it does not return an instant amount of damage. And then the only other attacking move that it will gain is Psychic, which on the one hand, that's great. On the other hand, Psychic is not available to Xatu until you get it to level 65, which is stupidly late, even for our point in the journey. If you want to use this thing, you are definitely going to have to invest some TMs, but if you do, it is totally worth it, because it can learn some pretty good moves via TM. And if you're willing to wait out on Psychic, or just give it the Psychic TM straight up, Xatu can be a pretty good addition to your team. Now, shifting gears here a little bit, the next Pokemon that we have is Yanma. Now, Yanma is another case of a bug-flying Pokemon that is not particularly great. It does look really cool. Like Delibird, I will admit that Yanma, despite being mediocre, does have a really cool design, and it does have a good ability in the form of Speed Boost, which boosts its speed stat every turn. But aside from that, it has pretty bad stats. Its only good-ish stat, aside from speed, is special attack at 75, but it just doesn't learn really any good offensive moves through level up. It learns Quick Attack at level 6, Sonic Boom at level 17, which is fixed damage, and only 20 points of HP for damage. And then the only other attack it learns leveling up is Wing Attack at level 39. Plus, Yanma can't even learn Fly, so you can't even use the HM Fly to offset this issue. And so because of that, Yanma is not able to really do much in this particular game. Though, to be fair, in later generations, Yanma gets way, way better when it's able to evolve into Yanmega. But that is neither here nor there. The only genuinely positive thing about Yanma in terms of what it can learn is that if you're willing to work at it and breed the right moves onto Yanma, it is actually able to learn some good bug moves through breeding. including Leech Life, Signal Beam, and Silver Wind. Signal Beam is a really good bug-type move, especially for this particular point in the game. And Silver Wind is essentially a bug-type version of Ancient Power, where it doesn't have a lot of power points, but what it does have is the potential to boost all of your stats by one stage when you use it. There are some definite negatives and positives, though if you want my opinion, if you want to use Yanma, catch it and transfer it to a later generation, because literally any game that's in a later generation than this, Yanma is excellent, but not quite in this game. Now, as for the last Pokemon that we can get here, this is going to be a doozy. The last one is Wobbuffet. Now, this is a Pokemon that defines stalling, and it is built strictly around it. Wobbuffet only learns 4 moves, and you only ever need to use those 4 moves. It learns Counter, Mirror Coat, Safeguard, and Destiny Bond. It does not learn any moves via breeding, it does not learn any other moves via TM. Those are the only moves that it uses, and those are the only 4 moves that it needs to use. To break this down, Wobbuffet has a lot of HP and minimal defenses, and it's also relatively lacking in speed. And so the idea is, using either Counter or Mirror Coat, you have Wobbuffet take a hit, and then you dish damage to your opponent 2-fold, equal to the damage that Wobbuffet took. Using Safeguard, you can also have Wobbuffet make it so that both he and all the rest of your Pokemon don't get afflicted with any status conditions. And Destiny Bond's a little extra stinger to where if you know Wobbuffet's going to get knocked out next turn, you can have it use Destiny Bond, and Wobbuffet will take down whatever took it out. Additionally, Wobbuffet got even better in this particular generation, as with the addition of abilities, Wobbuffet got the signature ability Shadow Tag, which makes it so that Pokemon cannot switch out while Wobbuffet is out. This forces your opponent to use a Pokemon to knock out Wobbuffet, which will more likely than not cause that Pokemon to get knocked out in the process. This Pokemon is great because of that, competitively. When we're talking about player versus player, Wobbuffet is an absolute destructive force and has been in Ubers for years because of its ability to just counter everything that it hits. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for single player, as its playstyle can be a little slow for certain situations. But if you want a wall that can hit back, there is no Pokemon that suits this role better than Wobbuffet. And now that we've gotten that taken care of, it's time to catch some more Pokemon. That's 6 new Pokemon discussed in one day, guys. That is amazing. That's not gonna work. Oh, Natu has the Synchronize ability. I neglected to remember that Natu can learn Teleport and therefore has the ability to run away. God bless. Wooper. Yeah. You can also find Woopers here. My boy. Alright, let's try this again. Natu. Please don't teleport. Okay, there we go. Natu has been caught. Natu, the tiny Pokemon. It usually forages for food on the ground, but may, on rare occasions, hop onto branches to peek at shoots. As always, if you'd like to give a nickname to Natu, feel free to do so in the comments. There's Yanma. There we go. Didn't take too long. Yanma, the clear Pokemon. Its large eyes can scan 360 degrees. It looks in all directions to seek out insects as its prey. As always, if you'd like to give Yanma a nickname, feel free to do so in the comments. And there's Wobbuffet. It's actually a little land and quick attack with minimal issue. Fortunately, Wobbuffet has a ton of HP. And there we go. Wobbuffet has been caught. Wobbuffet, the patient Pokemon. To keep its pitch black tail hidden, it lives quietly in the darkness. It is never first to attack. As always, if you'd like to give a nickname to Wobbuffet, feel free to do so in the comments. Alright, now that we've gotten it taken care of, let's actually progress onwards into the ruins. Alright, we have a little bit of a strength doodah here. Okay. 1, 2... Okay, there. Sunstone. That is very useful, and I will show you why later on. Alright, we're gonna head... God! No! Why is Wobbuffet showing up so often now? It's annoying because I can't leave! There's no way to get around it! Okay. Let's go this way. Looks like we have some more strength puzzles up here. Trying to avoid the grass as much as I can. Nope. Literally the first patch of grass I walk into, I find another Yanma. Okay, I actually want to go down this way and get interrupted on the last patch, of course. Like that, and this, and we get HP up. Very useful. God, I love you, Wooper. Okay, we're gonna go back up this way. Okay, and now we are going to go up and actually interact with some peoples. Oh, I'm pretty familiar with the land around these parts. Okay, well, that might be helpful to you. Except you're a cosplayer, so no. Oh, this may be a problem. Oh man, that was closer than I wanted it to be. Okay, well, at least Goldywatch grew level 57. You don't need to be so pushy. I'll be happy to tell you. Yeah. Alright, what do you got for me then? The door to the ruins. It has these strange patterns engraved on the outside. I don't know what they mean though. Okay, we're gonna go this way. We have a few more guys we need to fight. I'm gonna switch up to Goldywatch here. We continue on. There appear to be many secrets still unsolved in this world. One more of these guys. I'm curious, what compelled you to come here? Well, I'll tell you what compelled me to come here, and I should have brought this up with you before. This is one of our first cases of seeing a Ruin Maniac. The Ruin Maniacs are a trainer class that you see a lot more of in the Hoenn region, but here, you're actually able to find proper Ruin Maniacs. Also, this guy has a Golem, which I'm pretty sure this is the first case of us actually seeing a Golem in battle. So if you were ever able to actually evolve Graveler, that's what Golem looks like. It's been so long since I battled. My instincts are off. That's alright, buddy. You got plenty of good things for me to talk about. So that's all that really matters. One more. It's been said that there are mysterious stones on this island. I suspect there's something to do with the ruins here. Interesting theory. And we're gonna let Ragna take care of this, because as always, Ragna destroys everything in its path. Critical hit, aerial ace, I expect nothing less than that from Ragna. And even though the second hit was not critical either, it's still one shot, which means it's just as effective. Oh, interesting. Yep, 2 aerial aces. Truly a fascinating encounter. Now we're gonna go down here. And now we see this set of ruins. The door doesn't budge at all. Check it more thoroughly? Yes. On close inspection, there are several dots on the door. Okay, so here's the deal about the dotted door and a certain detail that I neglected to remember until now. In order to get through this door, you need a Pokemon with the move Cut. So, Editor Griffin, let's cut to me being here with the Pokemon that actually has it. Oh! Hey, Griffin, how's your Pokedex filling up? It looks like it's impossible to get all the Pokemon by hanging around just these parts. Maybe there are Pokemon we don't know about somewhere far away. Well, if I can't do it, there's no way for you to get it done. I'm not going to get all desperate over this. I'll keep collecting Pokemon at my own pace while I train them. That's what I'll do, so there's no point staying here. I may as well leave for home. That's that then. Smell you later. Yes, this is the first time I've gone to the Pokemon Center at Sevii Islands, which means I didn't run into Sheldon. Okay, now cut to me being there with the Pokemon that has Cut. Okay, now that we've gotten that taken care of, it won't let us actually just straight up be prompted to deal with the door correctly. You have to actually go into your menu and select the Cut option. And there you go. Welcome to the dotted hole. There are no new Pokemon for us to find in this area, so we're just going to proceed straight ahead. I'm sure if I were able to read Braille, I'm sure that sign would tell me exactly where I need to go, but I am not able to interpret it, so we're just going to have to get this through trial and error. Okay, I'm gonna go based on this logic. Okay, that one is 5, so this probably says right. I'm guessing this one is down, because the other one's left. Alright, so it's up, left, right, down. Pretty simple. If you're not able to read the dotted Braille, you can always go based on the number of individual Braille letters, because of course 2 letters would always mean up, 4 would either mean left or down, and then 5 would always mean right. So it looks like we have another crystal here. We found a sapphire! Whoa, what? F-U. I guessed right. I was right in tailing you. I knew that there was a sapphire here, so it belongs to me. I'll sell it to Team Rocket for serious money. Don't glare at me like that. If you want it back, why don't you go get it after I sell it? I'll even tell you one of the passwords of Team Rocket's warehouse. The warehouse password I know is yes, nah, Chansey. I'm done. Don't think badly of me. Okay, so that's annoying. But he did provide us with the second password that we need to get into the Rocket warehouse, so that is useful information. Alright, once again, Editor Griffin, please provide the translation for these specific ruins. Okay, as always, I hope that that means more to you than it did me. But that takes care of the dotted hole. Okay, so I think that's gonna do it for this particular episode. We have arrived at a brand new island. We caught a handful of brand new Pokemon for ourselves. And even though we weren't able to get the Sapphire, we now have the means of getting into the Rocket warehouse. So that means that's where we're gonna go next, right? Well, no, actually. There are still a couple more things I would like to do here at Sevii Island, because there are more places that we can go and even more new Pokemon that we can catch for ourselves. So we'll be doing that next time on Pokemon Fire Red. See you guys then.